Today, you join me on the Isle of Skye, but more specifically, on a mission to find a wild deer. But not to harm it, of course, but more just to experience it and that magical moment of just looking at it eye to eye and stumbling across it in the wild. And what better way to do it than the all brand new BMW M7. Let me take you for a trip down memory lane. You see, back when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my grandparents would take myself and my cousin Chris to a little place called Cannon Hall, based in South Yorkshire. And at Cannon Hall, we would have a picnic with like piccalilli sandwiches, and we'd have ham sandwiches with no crusts on them, of course. And we'd play for hours in the sand-filled pits, sliding down the slides and just reciting lines from Toy Story, to which my cousin said it incorrect. And still to this day, he thinks he was right. To infinity and beyond. And that is what this car is. To infinity and beyond. We'd usually visit Cannon Hall around the time of year children were told to be on the best behaviour, otherwise they'd be receiving cinders in a sack for Christmas. And whilst we was at Cannon Hall, we were in fact on a mission, and that was to feed Santa's deer, because after all, there's no way they could deliver all those presents on a hungry stomach. I remember there was this old stone building with a bowed slate roof. It had no windows and doors. It had a dirt base sort of floor, and it was in fact called the deer shed, to which I found out a couple of weeks ago. Grandad would tell us this is where the deer slept. So what we would do is bury our half-eaten sandwiches in the dirt, covered with leaves, the odd bits of chocolate, stuff that we didn't really finish on the picnic, and we'd leave them for Santa's deer to come and eat them, so we would get all of our presents at Christmas. After we'd done this, Grandad would say we must remain on our best behaviour, otherwise Santa wouldn't be paying a visit at all. The naivety is quite laughable, but as a kid, you'll believe anything just to make your dreams come true. Looking back to those days, there was no bills, no dependencies, no responsibilities, and life was just a lot easier. And what I would do to go back and relive those moments with just me, my cousin, and my 2 grandparents, it would just be a dream come true. Sadly, we can't turn back time, but what we can do is reminisce or revisit our old memories. So, you're probably wondering, how does South Yorkshire and the Isle of Skye tie together? Well, they absolutely don't tie together, but what they do allow me to do is revisit an old memory. I've come to the Isle of Skye because it's absolutely littered with deer, and I thought, what better place than to maximise my chances of being taken by surprise of a stag in the wild. And that's exactly why I'm here. And you join me today on these beautiful roads, putting the foot to the floor in the M7 to hopefully find a deer. As the search continued, I couldn't help but appreciate how beautiful my surroundings were. The vast area of the Scottish Highlands are absolutely mesmerising. The mountains, the waters, the crisp salt air from the sea, it really did make me feel connected with nature, even if I was in a luxury car.
Slow down. There's nothing to get you, can always turn it around. Oh, I shouldn't have met you, I only let you down. All night in your bedroom, my thoughts were thinking loud. Oh, I shouldn't have met you, I shouldn't have left you.
Now, deer tend to be in places where it's quite remote and quiet. Obviously, it's absolutely caking it down, so let's get our hoods up and head off into those forests up there. Key is, you've got to be really quiet with this, because if you're too loud, we may scare them. Now, there's no guarantee we'll see the deer here, but it's just my thought. I've not seen any in the fields as we've been driving, mainly because of the rumble of that car's probably thrown it all off. However, in the trees, I think we stand half a chance. So, there's deer poo here. There's deer poo, plenty of it as well. The rain is terrible here. I haven't been able to find anything in the forest and I'm getting a little bit cold, so we're going to get back in the car and continue the search. I'm not giving up just yet, so let's get back to the car. Courtesy of the electronic doors. Ta-da! Oh, here we go. So we're just going to keep our eyes out now, just across the horizon and in the little trees and heather, because sometimes you do see the antlers just sticking up out of it. I know it kind of defeats the object of stumbling across it in the wild, but I just want to be up close to one of these animals because they're so majestic, and it means quite a lot to me. It's part of my childhood. I want to revisit it all, and I want to do it in style, of course. We're cruising on the Isle of Skye. It's currently 7 degrees, and tonight we are forecast snow, and a hell of a lot of it. So I'm quite intrigued to see how pretty the place is going to look, but more importantly, how we're going to get around in this 560 horsepower, 590 foot-pound of torque BMW M760E. That's a breathy sentence to say. Anyway, maybe the snow will release the deer because they're going to try to keep warm. They're probably going to look for shelter. They may even go back to the deer shed like I mentioned in Cannon Hall. Who knows? So we'll continue the search and see where we get up to.
I was waiting in the
Round every corner, down every narrow road, there were more jaw-dropping sights. But with night closing in, I decided to head back to the accommodation, hoping I'd spot my childhood memory along the way.
I was waiting in the undertow. And the water feels like a friend I've not seen in years. So familiar.
So today we've been unsuccessful in trying to find a wild deer. However, after having a quick read online, it says that we should focus more inland rather than coastal, and that's exactly what I mentioned earlier on the way back here. So tomorrow we're going to drive a bit more inland if we can actually get there, because at the moment there's an absolute snowstorm brewing out at sea, and it's predicted that it's going to cover the Isle of Skye with at least 4 to 5 inches worth of snow. Now I've heard the snow plows and the gritters are on the ball on this island, so fingers crossed we should be able to get access tomorrow. We should be able to travel around, and hopefully we'll be able to find a wild stag. So for now, I'm just going to sit by the fire, have a sip of lager, and enjoy the noise of this storm coming in all the way from the Outer Hebrides, and just sit, chill, relax, and tomorrow we reset where hopefully we can find the wild deer. The next morning, the forecast delivered exactly what it had promised. My surroundings went from being pretty to absolutely staggering, and it did feel rather foreign. All I had to hope for now was that the BMW could cope with the conditions.
Throw me a rope here, I've drifted way too far. I see it sometimes behind those kind eyes. I see it sometimes behind those kind eyes. Wake me up when this is all over, and take my heart with both of your hands. I've been spending all my days just trying to find a way. Give me love when this is all over.
And there it was, to my complete, utter surprise. Not one, not two, but a full family of deer. The moment was quite simply breathtaking. The sound of silence was deafening, and as I stood there watching the deer, watching me, all those memories of being 5 or 6 years old, spending time with my grandparents, came back. The innocence, the laughter, the naivety, and the love. The mission had been challenging, fun, and a memory that I would recall for a lifetime. And I have to thank this car for making it possible. Even in these weather conditions, the trusty BMW held up to the task. You see, to most people, cars are just an A to B, but to me, they are much more than that. They have persona, they are a culture, and they tell a story. Without cars as good as this, I often think life on Earth would be quite boring. Cars create access, adventure, and most importantly, memories, and I'm proud to be a petrol head. But right now, the memories of my childhood were clear as current day. As I stood there, observing the majestic animal, I could hear Gran and Grandad's voice telling me to be on our best behaviour, and that the angels would be listening if we weren't.
Saw you paint a picture of a
But fast forward to now, there's still one angel I think about every single day, and I know she will always be looking out for me.
Don't you dare take my
I know I shouldn't be in love, but it's so hard to move on. You haven't changed, you stayed the same. But if you did, I'd still love you anyway. I'd give you the world like I promised I would. Even though you wouldn't do the same, I'd give you the world like I promised